Hello there, friends, and welcome back to Sesh Cast. My name is GLDLX. This is Sesh Cast, a cannabis podcast for cannabis sessions, and today I'm sitting in the squeakiest chair that I owned in the echoiest room in my house. Why am I recording here? Because it is 1:30 in the morning on Thursday morning, and I haven't recorded an episode yet today, and this is just what I have. Hello, and welcome back to Sesh Cast, this little podcast that I do where I get high and talk about stuff. And I'm also just realizing I haven't plugged my laptop in, and that is a no-go. That would be very bad. So please ignore the rustling while I work on plugging my laptop in, because it will die. It will not last 45 minutes. In fact, my laptop doesn't even really save my files anymore. When I record, very annoying. Not great. Got a new laptop. Have yet to fire it up and get everything changed and transferred over. That's a high priority. I don't have a lot of time right now, so I have the new laptop, but I haven't set it up. So hopefully very, very soon I will have a new laptop which will be able to run some better audio equipment and hopefully get some better sound quality together. Today, however, an absolutely miserable sound quality in my personal opinion. Not the worst. I guess absolutely miserable is probably a bit of an overstatement, but it just, I don't know, it sounds not the way that I want it to sound, but that is okay. Imperfection is okay. This is literally just a podcast of me getting high and talking to a microphone, so I don't necessarily go for the highest of quality. Everything here is a little bit lo-fi and a little bit DIY, and it's punk, and that's okay. It's kind of cool. Today, I am using the first vape that I have used on this show. Smoking the first oil that I have smoked on this show, actually, which I think is kind of exciting. Now, I have used... this isn't like the first time I've used a vape or I've smoked oil, but this is the first time that I've done it for Sesh Cast. And my name's GLDLX. Did I say that? Did I introduce myself? I think that I did. I'll get back to that later. So I'm using this vape today. This is the Swan cartridge vape by Sixth Sense. So they are on Instagram at Sixth Sense Vape, which took me a while to find because in all of their branding they spell sixth S the number 6 TH, or like something like that. I don't know. I need a flashlight to read the bottom of my vape because it's dark in this room. See how prepared I was for this podcast? Come on, flashlight. There we go. Okay, so they spell sixth S the number 6 XTH sense in all their branding, but their Instagram is Sixth Sense Vape SIXTH, so on and so forth. And they made this little thing called the Swan. This is just cartridge vape. You know, you drop in your cartridge with one of their little adapters attached. So it comes with 2 adapters, a long and a short, and they are just little 510 threaded magnet bases. So you screw them on there, and then the magnet from your connector connects to the magnet, or is magnetized to the magnet in the vape. So you just drop the cartridge in, and it makes this great little, and you can hear it, I'm sure, on the microphone. Here we go. Like a really good snap in there, and it holds pretty good. You know, I've shaken this thing around. I've carried it in my pocket. The cartridge rarely comes out. It did come out once when I dropped it, but I dropped it, so yeah. It's awesome. It's got variable temperature, which I like a lot. So there's like a cool, medium, and high heat. There is also a preheat function that runs it at a low heat to sort of get the vape heated up a little bit. And you can smoke at that temperature while it's preheating it if you're looking for like a super, super low temp pull. That's cool. You can use it while charging. Always a gigantic plus and something that I'm a huge supporter of. And it fits any size 510 threaded vape cartridge. Standard or fill your own or pre-filled, whatever you buy, it works, which is cool. So I like it a lot. This is the Swan Vape by Sixth Sense. It's also adorably tiny. and super cool color, which I took a picture that does not do justice to it, but I posted it on my Instagram anyway, which you can find at Sesh Cast. So yes, that is what I'm smoking out of, and then what I'm smoking on. I have the tube over here. Need another light? Please hold. All right, so I've got this is a Wolfpack cartridge. This is the blueberry, I believe is the strain, and then it does actually give me a breakdown. So it is testing at 84.56% THC, 0.42% CBD, and 0.45% CBN. So a pretty heavy sativa, but I've really liked it. I mean the strain. I have not loved the cartridge, and I don't just want to like mad trash Wolfpack because this is my first experience with one of their cartridges ever. That being said, as my first experience, it has not been a particularly good one. This cartridge has been getting jammed constantly. It's been a little bit leaky. It has just not been a great cartridge. The oil has been awesome, and I've loved it a lot. The vape has been great. I've loved it a lot. The cartridge leaves a lot to be desired. But again, I'm my first experience with them, and their oil is good, which at the end of the day, to me, is all that really matters. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a hit out of this, and then I will get back in and jump into the thing that I'm talking about today. I'm very racy, if you can't tell. Cheers, friends. Actually, I'm gonna let this preheat real quick. Because I forgot that was a thing that you needed to do. I don't smoke vape very often. Smoke vapes, use vapes. I don't know. Give me a second. Cheers. The vape cough always just hits you so much differently. It's the difference between what I would say like a dry cough and a wet cough is dry heat, wet heat, whatever. But the vape hit I feel like hits you right in the top of your throat, like your throat is dried out. But the if you're smoking flower, you take a huge bong rip, I feel like it hits you way deeper, like in your chest. It's just kind of a different cough. And I'm pretty accustomed to the flower cough, not very accustomed to the oil cough, the vape cough, the dab cough. So I'm sorry if I struggle through this a little bit. Also, you may know that smoking oil from one of these vapes a little heavier than just smoking a bowl of flour. And I smoked a couple bowls before I recorded this. I didn't sit down to smoke my typical pre-session bowl because I had been smoking with some other folks before I came to record this. So I just grabbed this vape and sat down and started going to town. So I guess do have some updates I want to share before I jump into this topic. So I have bait and switched you. Sorry about it. So updates about the show a little bit, about the podcast. So I will be in Seattle August 16th through August 20th for Seattle Hemp Fest. I think that I've talked about that on the show a little bit. I don't know how much detail I've gone into. I will probably go into a lot more detail in next week's episode because that will come out the day that I am traveling to and landing in Seattle. So next episode, I will have a little bit more about my exact plans and what I'm going to be posting, what sort of content I'm going to be doing from Seattle Hempfest, because I do think that I'm going to be doing a lot of extra stuff on Instagram. I'm hoping to put together a vlog for Seattle Hempfest, which I gotta flex those video editing muscles. Not something I am particularly great at, but I think we're gonna try and knock something out. So I'll get that up, and like I said, I'll just have a lot more information about what is coming from Seattle Hempfest next week. But what I do have this week is that I will be in Seattle Hempfest. If you are planning on being in Seattle Hempfest, I would love to say hello. I think that would be the coolest thing in the world, to find somebody else somewhere else who listens to this. So if you're going to be in Seattle Hempfest, please reach out to me. DM me on Instagram, shoot me an email. My email is posted on my website, but my email is just seshcast Goldilocks GLDLX at Gmail. But there's also like a contact me link through the website as well, which you can find in the Instagram bio. But that is seshcast.libsyn.com. Hit me up if you're going to be in Seattle Hemp Fest, or if you're going to be in or around Seattle that weekend. I would love to meet up. It would be the coolest thing in the world. So, also while I'm out there, I'm going to have stickers, which is awesome. I'm going to have stickers, and I'm going to have business cards. Not that really have anything with them. They just have my logo and a little bit about the show. So if you find me and you want either of those things for whatever reason, please hit me up. While I'm out there, I would love to give one of those to you. And then once I get back from Seattle, I'll keep probably 5 or so stickers to send out to anybody who may want them. So if you do have an interest in a sticker, hit me up for that as well. I would love to send you one. I just ordered kind of a limited run. So I'm going to give a few away out to people that I meet in Seattle and hopefully spread it out to the West Coast a little bit. And then anybody else who shoots me an email, I'll try and get you one for sure. So that's super exciting and super cool. I'm very, very jacked about that. I've wanted to have like some sort of merch for the longest time, and I'm not selling stickers by any means. I will happily send you stickers. But yeah, I think that's cool. I'll be in Seattle. I would love to say hello. End of updates. Let's get to show topic, because that's what I'm actually here to talk about. So, today's topic is kind of an interesting one because I still don't really know where exactly I lie on this issue, but I was kind of having this conversation with myself, and so I decided I wanted to do an episode about it and see if maybe I could get my thoughts straight just by talking through everything. So I want to talk about personality a little bit, and just there's this phrase that I keep hearing at work, or that like I've heard in my social interactions the last few months a lot more than I feel like I ever have in my whole life, and that's the phrase where like, oh well, it's just their personality, like they just do that or they just say that way because it's their personality, and that's been like irking me, and I've been working on figuring out how I feel about it. And so that's what I want to talk about. So I'm going to take another hit of this real quick, and I'm going to let that start to preheat. And I'm going to talk about sort of where I'm at with this, but I hope that you are smoking along with something, and I hope that it's treating you well. I hope the day is going good for you. I hope things are awesome. Yada, yada, yada. Smoke weed every day. Cheers, friends. Okay, so, gosh, oh baby, so, personality, like, I keep hearing this phrase thrown around of like, oh, they just act that way because it's their personality, and the reason that that's been irking me, or kind of hitting me in the wrong way, is because I feel like that's a really bad excuse, because I don't feel like your personality is something that you can't change. Like, if you are being a jerk to somebody, if you're upsetting somebody, if you are doing something that someone doesn't like, and the reason that you're doing it is it's just your personality, that to me sounds a lot like I'm just doing it that way because I want to do it that way. And that really hits me the wrong way. And I say this because of a personal experience that I have been having at work, or I had been having at work, of a coworker who had been just communicating with myself and some of my other coworkers in a way that was not particularly appropriate. So the issue that we had sort of arose to this point where I was talking to other coworkers who did not work with this particular coworker in the same fashion that I did, to say, what do you think of this situation? Like, because you have been here longer than I have, or you may have a different viewpoint on this than I do. Where are we at? And a lot of people just told me, like, this coworker is communicating is communicating with you the way that they are because that's just their personality. And that was where it first started to hit a point with me where I was like, I don't know that this person being a jerk to me should be excused by saying it's just their personality, or should even be explained by it's just their personality, because I feel like your personality is something that you can change. I don't know that we really get the opportunity to change that many things about ourselves that drastically in our lifetimes. But your personality, I think, is something that you have some sort of control over. And the more that I've thought about this over the last couple of months, the more I've really hit this where, like, how reasonable is it to expect someone to change their personality because I don't vibe with the way their personality, or excuse me, I don't vibe with their personality in the way that I'm perceiving it. So how realistic is it for me to expect someone to change so that they fit better into my existence? Or at the same time, how reasonable is it to think that you can change your personality? Because I think that there are some levels of a personality that are very deep and very onset, some would say born with, some would say learned at an early age and adapted and absorbed, whatever. But there are so many different pieces to the word personality that this is where I started to run into this problem of, like, is it reasonable to expect someone to change? Is it possible to really change your reality? Where am I finding these definitions, and where am I fitting them in? How am I fitting them in to my expectations of my interpersonal communication with my coworkers? And the way that I went around this roadblock, or the way that I'm currently, like, thinking my way through this roadblock, is to say, okay, well, by what then do we define the word personality? Like, you have to put some sort of parameters on the definition of personality to decide whether or not A, it's reasonable to expect someone to change, and B, it is reasonable to think that someone would be able to change that piece of their personality. I have not come up with those parameters yet, and I think that's kind of what I want to talk through now. So, you have this idea that your personality is something you can change. Let's go that way. So, you think that maybe somebody can change their personality. What could somebody reasonably change? How they interact with other people. I suppose whether you are someone who jumps in on other people's conversations, whether you are someone who speaks over others or cuts off others often, those types of things are actions and behaviors. Is that really your personality? Or is your personality a more deep-seated thing where you're thinking, well, I'm a very outgoing person, I'm a very opinionated person, I'm a very argumentative person? Is that adjective the personality trait? Or I'm sorry, is that adjective the definition of personality? Or is that behavior the definition of personality? Because I think in reality, the action, the thing that you are doing, the real life behavior, could be defined as a personality trait. And I think that the adjectives, the words you would use to describe yourself, could be said as a personality trait. And I think that it probably takes both of those to really define the word personality, or the way that we use personality in an all inclusive language. So, what of that is it reasonable to expect people to change? I think the answer to that is the behaviors. I think that you should really be able to expect someone to change a behavior that it is um, like demonstrative to somebody else, that is a hindrance to somebody else's forward progress. If you have a behavior that is negatively affecting someone else, I think it is reasonable to expect you to change that. However, I don't know that it is reasonable to expect someone to change the adjective that really describes the way they perceive the world or the way they are in that situation, whether it's that they consider themselves to be outspoken, whether it's that they are an extrovert and not an introvert, whether it's that they are argumentative or someone who thrives on conflict. They're all of these just different adjectives to describe a set of behaviors. It's like the expanded menu or the drop down menu. You pick your adjective, and then from there you click the down arrow and see all of the possible behaviors under that adjective. So I think what is reasonable to expect is for someone to uncheck some of those things from the drop down menu. But I think that that does not necessarily make the subsections on the drop down menu go away. I hope that analogy pulled it together at least a little bit. I'm going to take another hit of this, and then I think I might go in a little bit of a different direction. So let me set this guy to preheat. This is not a sponsored episode. I didn't say that at the beginning. I probably should have, but Sixth Sense gave me no money, gave me no compensation. We bought this vape, and I really like it. So I'm just showcasing a product that I really like, much like Randy's rolling papers, and anybody else that the Lift Innovations grinder. All of the things that I have talked about are not paid promotions by any means. They're just things. So yeah, but this is a great vape, and I like it a lot. And the 2-click function to preheat is baller. Cheers. So, personality traits. Personalities. I want to talk about this in a little bit of a different direction. And what I want to talk about are the gajillions of personality tests that now exist that I think we are beginning to use to define our behavior, to explain our behavior. I'm not sure what the word is, but I think that the new thing, the new wave, and maybe this has been around forever, I don't know, maybe I'm just becoming cognizant of it, but I think the thing, at least right now, is to find something that defines your personality type and then to use that to explain your actions. And I think that there are about a zillion different personality tests out there. So some of the ones that I think are the most popular right now, the most widely accepted right now, the most heavily used right now, are the Myers-Briggs type. You've got your type A, type B conversation. You've got your there's one on numbers and there's one on colors. I'm not very familiar with those ones. There's the behavioral quadrant. And those are the ones that I can think of as like super off the top of my head, widely accepted personality traits. I was not ever a psychology major, so there may be a bunch I don't know. I just worked at a summer camp and we talked about this stuff a lot. So that's why you should listen to me, I guess. I have no college degree or anything. I'm just rambling with weed. So yeah, there are those, and then I think that some other ones that we can add on to that are things like Pottermore, and people's Harry Potter houses. I think have become a very popular way to define your personality. Um, I think that zodiac, uh, the star signs, and I think that there are sun and moon signs. I do not know much about zodiacs and astrology and things, but I think that is very, very in right now, very popular, and I think a lot of people really vibe with that. Um, and so I think that there are more. It's just all the ones I can think of because I'm high. Um, I think that people are doing a lot of those right now and gaining a lot of information about themselves from these different personality tests. Now, the question to be asked there is, are people learning things about themselves from taking these personality tests, or are people enabling themselves to act in a way that they now believe that they should because the personality that they have been assigned, or because of the personality that they have been assigned? It's this weird, like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, do people, or gosh, sorry, I'm struggling a little. These dab pens hit you, man. Like, you go from 0 to 100 very quickly. And I'm out of smoking shape. I had a big day on Saturday. I smoked a lot. I was at a concert festival for work, and we were just all going to town. So, um, I'm a little out of shape, and this has got me quite stony. But I honestly don't remember what I was talking about. See, this is a problem. It's the thing with this podcast is that sometimes I'm going on a really good thing, and then my brain takes over and is like, "No, we want to talk about something else." It's just gosh, I knew that it would happen, and like sometimes I think that's funny, and sometimes I use it because it's really helpful when I'm not able to think of where to go with an episode. But then sometimes it's like this, where it's like I know that I was talking about something, and then all of a sudden the thought just poof, goes away. And I feel like it was kind of important too, but I really don't know. I guess I was talking about personality traits and how, I was still on the, like, are people reading personality traits and saying, wow, maybe that's why I do these things? Or are they taking these personality traits and say, or these personality tests and saying, this says I should be like that, so I am going to be like that? It's a really interesting question. Um, I think I found the next step in this path. Like, I think I figured out what I want to talk about in the next segment. I hope that you're still around for this ride. I'm going to talk about Harry Potter houses here for a little while, I think, because I think that's a good place to be. Yeah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to smoke more of this. I'm going to talk about Harry Potter houses. So this is a great opportunity for you to hit the Googs and do a quick searchy search on Harry Potter houses if you are unfamiliar. If you are not unfamiliar, then maybe this will vibe with you. So let me smoke some more of this. Let me preheat this. I keep forgetting that I need to do that. And then I'll get back and I'll talk about that. What I was trying to say earlier, this has a 2-click preheat function. Super convenient. Works really well. I like it. Cheers. Brought this vape to my friend the other day, and she tried it the first time and was asking me like how hard she should inhale from it, and the analogy that I came up with was sucking milk through a coffee stirrer. Which I am impressed with and think is a pretty good explanation. Okay, so let's talk about Harry Potter houses. I am a big Harry Potter fan. I've been a big Harry Potter fan for as long as I can remember. I think that it was probably the first major book series that I ever really followed, the first fandom that I was ever really like a major part of that was literature based and not TV or video game. So, Harry Potter has the houses, right? And I think that you can really only be sorted once. And what I mean by that, I'm not talking at all about in the Harry Potter world or in Harry Potter canon. That is a twisted web of lies that I don't even want to delve into right now. But talking IRL here, you know, we were the Harry Potter generation. I think Harry Potter. I think you know what I really think. Think 30 years from now, we're gonna call Harry Potter the millennial Star Wars. It was the Star Wars of our generation. Um, I mean that. Ask me in 40 years. But I think that we all grew up knowing that this was going to be a part of our lives forever, and so we have taken all of these personality traits and basically combined them into our Hogwarts houses. I mean, it's one of the first things that I ask people when I meet people my age. If we're talking about, trying to get to know each other, one of my first go-tos is like, what Hogwarts house are you in? And that is not super uncommon, I think. Um, so when I say that you can only be sorted once IRL, what I mean is that I when Pottermore first came out, which is the like official Harry Potter website, I'm not on it, I just know of it. Um, you could only take the sorting hat test one time. What you got was what you got. And then they added the ability to take that test again. And a lot of people's houses changed, and there was talk about how your house changed over time. I don't think that you really can. I don't think that that's real. I don't think that your house changes over time. I think that you change the way that you like experience life, but I think that once you are sorted into that personality type once, you are kind of that house. Like that is your the first time you take a personality test, the first time you are sorted into a Hogwarts house, I think is your like this is your pure personality untainted by the answers to the test, the way that the whole metric works. Once you're exposed to something once, I think that you start to lose the ability to take a test unbiasedly. That's what I mean. I feel like I described that in a much heavier way than I needed to, but like, you only get to take the test for the first time once, and then you get assigned to your Hogwarts house, and that's just sort of the way you think of yourself for a while. And your behaviors and your thoughts and your beliefs may change, but that core personality is still sort of the same. One of the reasons that I wanted to use Hogwarts houses or talk about Hogwarts houses is because they talk about personality in sort of a similar way to the way like Myers-Briggs does, where it is very, very zoomed out, very umbrella terms of a personality trait. Talking about, like cleverness or cunning or these terms that are very big and like very overarching, that there are a lot of things to unpack in those terms, much the way Myers-Briggs is extrovert versus introvert and thinking versus feeling. The Hogwarts houses are very like things that are core and things that are a big part of you that probably aren't going to change much. But the way that you think about those values, the way that you portray those values, and the way that your actions change throughout your lifetime, I think is very valid, and I think is really the part of your personality that changes. And I think that you can have those changes without your core values or your core personalities ever really changing. And I say all of that, and then at the same time I think that sometimes those big core values can change with huge life events, but I don't know, that's what I mean. I'm kind of stuck on this situation where I walk myself down this path the whole way of thinking your personality can't change at a high level, but at a smaller level, your personality can change greatly. And then I think, but people have these huge moments. And I went from someone who was very extroverted to very introverted in my lifetime. And, it's different for everybody. But I use the Hogwarts house example because the first time you take that test, the first time you take the Myers-Briggs test, the first time you take any personality test, is when you'll give your most honest, untainted answers. And so that's the core deep belief. And then it is up to you to understand that about your personality type and either use that personality type to make and cast your decisions and actions, but also to be aware of the flaws of that personality type and try to improve upon it. And whether improving upon the flaws of your personality changes your personality or not, I don't know. That's, I think, where I'm stuck. I don't know if that's a change of your personality or not, but dang, yeah, I feel like I've rambled a lot here. I got some thoughts out, but really what I'm trying to say here is that I hate it when people's excuse for being a jerk is it's just my personality. That's the roundabout way to get to where I'm at, to end this the way Weird Al ended Albuquerque, and that is the end of the sentence from the first sentence I started. I'm gonna smoke this, and then maybe I can actually wrap this up somehow. I really don't 100% know how I got here. I'm grateful. I think that's what I was about to say. Grateful. I'm very grateful that you've chosen to stuck around through all of this. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This one is for you. Cheers. I don't know that really helped put me closer to anything. Now I'm just much higher. This has been one of the stonier episodes of Sesh Cast for certain. But to wrap up here, what I've rambled about now for almost 40 minutes is I think that everyone can continue to improve. Even their most set in stone personality traits, a person can be aware of their own flaws and work to better those flaws. And I think that is really very important and something that I think everyone should always be actively trying to do. You should always be actively trying to improve yourself and work on your flaws. And when it comes to personalities, I'm not sure there's a very clear definition on what a personality is. And so to blame a hurtful or negative action on your personality, on something that you can't even really define, I think is kind of a cop-out excuse. And I think that instead of making that cop-out excuse to someone saying, the way you're acting is hurting me, I think the better thing to say is, I'm sorry that my actions are hurting you. I want to change them and not hurt you anymore. But figuring out, what part of you is doing that. Because maybe you are not necessarily needing to change your personality. Maybe you're just needing to change your behaviors, because the way you are projecting your personality is not a positive way or not a helpful way or not necessarily a good way to project your personality. Because I think that's what behaviors are. Behaviors are just people acting. Any action that you do is just people acting the way that they feel best portrays their self-defined self, core, personality, existence, brain, heart, soul, whatever noun you want to slap on there. Everybody is just trying to project the combinations of their insides in every action that they do. That was a weird way to say that. The combinations of their insides. Everyone is just trying to project the combinations of their insides. That's it, man. That might be the best Seshcast quote that we have had so far. I'm sad I already ordered the stickers because I would just get that on a block rectangle sticker. Man, everyone is just trying to project the combination of their insides. I hope I remember that. I hope that comebacks. I hope that comes back someday. Good Lord, I'm so high. So very, very high. I'm going to hit this. I'll do the outro. Then I'll hit this again. Prep however much weed you need to do both of those things with me. And let's enjoy it together. Cheers, friends. So the takeaway from all this is that I'll be in Seattle very soon. I would love to see you if you're there. I would also absolutely love to say that if you have listened to me high ramble for 41 minutes, thank you very, very much. I much appreciate it. I am so unbelievably appreciative of everyone who listens to this podcast ever. So thank you so much for putting in the time and giving me your downloads and giving me a little bit of your existence to fill it with my thoughts. I appreciate that very much. And I hope that it brings you some sort of joy and happiness or some sort of something, good, bad, ugly, I don't know. If you know somebody else who might be into this, feel free to let them know that I exist. And if you would just like to shout your praises to the ether, I suppose that you could do an iTunes review. Follow me on Instagram. I'm at Sesh Cast. I would love to hear from you. I will post a picture of this vape on the Instagram. It is not the best picture, but it is the picture that I have, and it is the picture that I will post. Because I'm not great at photography, especially when it's late and I'm rushed. I will have stickers soon. If you want one of those, shoot me an email, and I would love to make one happen for you. And with that, my friends, I think I'm going to take one more rip off of this, and I am going to edit this episode and upload it and go the heck to bed. I hope you have an awesome day. I hope that I will see you in Seattle. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Cheers. My name is GLDLX. This has been Sesh Cast. Thank you so much for listening.